Hey everyone, and welcome to today's video. This is Above the Table, where we like to talk about how to better run our games. My name is Steven, and if you're here, you might be wondering how to create a Pantheon for your D&D or TTRPG world. Whether you're looking to craft epic gods that influence the every aspect of your game, or you just need a few deities to add flavor, I've got you covered. So let's jump right into it. First up, you should decide if you really do need a Pantheon in your world or setting. You might be thinking, well, of course I need a Pantheon. I'm creating a setting. That's why I'm here. You're supposed to have one. And before I move forward, I want to remove those pressures. You do not require a Pantheon for your setting. Gods can be a fun thing to create and a convenient thing to run in play. They can be a seamless way to distribute power, lore, or items. A big part of why so many people enjoy gods in games like these is because in some settings, they really can just plop themselves down on the earth and walk right up to you. The level of interaction is incomparable to real life. But a Pantheon is not required. Why do we have gods in our games anyway? Well, a big part of it is because us as a human collective worship gods in real life. They give us reasons for the unexplained and often a basis on the formation of either us as a people or our world. They also give people faith. They give them symbol of hope to attach themselves to that align with their goals and desires and serve as one more piece of what makes our world feel real. Because whether or not an individual may worship a god or gods, there are always people around us who do. But what mechanical reasons might we need a Pantheon for? Well, at a glance, it seems at the base level, there are a few things. First, we have clerics, the followers, arbiters, and champions of their gods, often receiving their power in exchange for being the symbol of the god's ideal or attached to some form of destiny. Then we also have paladins. Some paladins serve gods as part of their oaths, some are more directly tied to certain deities receiving their magic, but there are also examples where the paladin's power comes solely from a commitment to the oath or justice that they serve. Lastly, some warlocks also look to deities to receive power, making pacts with both good and evil patrons. But do we have to have gods in our worlds for these types of characters to exist? No, we do not. Patrons of power can come in all kinds of different forms. With any of these classes, these rules serve just as a baseline option, but with a little bit of reflavoring and some lore, you can change the ideas of what might be considered a god or patron, or even remove them altogether. Now, if you do decide to proceed forward without gods in your setting, I would make sure to keep your players in the know, and make sure they have the necessary information around your specific setting, should they look to make one of these kinds of characters, so you avoid some form of disconnect when they arrive at the table. Now, keeping all of that in mind, should you still want to dive into the wormhole of creating a Pantheon, let's go over some of the basics. First, let's cover the role your Pantheon is going to play in the world, from its creation as a whole, and in its current state, what role it may play in your story. Are your gods active participants in mortal affairs, or do they remain distant, abstract faces of power? Will they serve as direct allies to your party, or unseen givers of boons or prophecy? We must also consider cosmic balance. This can help us determine the gods' roles at times. Are your deities rivals locked in eternal conflict, or are they allies maintaining the world's order together? Or maybe even a mix of both. Are there more natural good or bad deities, or do the lines between the gods gray, with their conflicts being more based in morals or opinion? The tone set here can have implications that could ripple through your entire world should you choose to explore them. And then there is size. Do you want a sprawling pantheon with gods of every aspect of life, or would a smaller, more focused group of deities fit your world? Both have their merits, so choose what suits your campaign. Don't feel obligated to have too many or too few. Create what inspires you. And remember, you do not have to flesh out your whole pantheon before you play. If any of your character players are playing any of the aforementioned classes, at the minimum you may need to prepare the pieces of your pantheon for them to pick from, but then you can prepare these things as needed. Don't be afraid to tackle these kinds of things in pieces. Sometimes that can be quite helpful. Next, you need to consider the core themes of your pantheon. What are the big ideas that define your world? Life, death, nature, magic, war. These are just a few examples. Once you have your themes, reflect on how the gods shaped the world. Are they the reason that magic exists? Do they inspire kingdoms to rise or fall? Maybe they control the tides or the seasons or any aspect of the weather. These big picture influences will help anchor your deities and their importance within your world. Now it's time to decide if you want to classify your deities into different categories. If so, you can start by dividing them into some form of greater or lesser deities. Your greater deities oversee the major aspects of existence: the sun, the ocean, life, and death, while lesser deities handle more specific areas like trade, the harvest, or trickery. This is also a great opportunity to consider if we want to create patron deities who are tied to either specific races or regions. The next set of categories we need to determine if we're going to use and what they might be are domains. Domains are areas of influence that followers align with. For example, a god of war might have domains like war, strength, or honor, while a goddess of nature could have life, nature, and animals. Sometimes lesser gods may even hold domain over smaller secular pieces of a larger domain, while a greater god may hold domain over something like nature. There may still be lesser gods that hold domain over things like agriculture or ecology. And don't forget symbols. These are the icons that represent your gods in the world, whether a blazing sun, a crescent moon, or a hooded veil. Symbols help your players visualize and connect with your pantheon. Next, you should develop the mythology of your gods. How did they come into being? Were they born from the cosmos or created by a greater power? Perhaps they were once mortals themselves. And what's a pantheon without some drama? Establish a relationship between your gods. Rivalries, alliances, and familial ties and betrayals are all part of this. Also, we should consider how your gods influence culture. What do their worshippers do to honor them? Are there specific rituals, holidays, or commandments that followers must observe, or just choose to? Consider the structure of religion in your world. Do your gods have grand temples with organized priesthoods, or are they worshipped in quiet, personal shrines? Are there any gods that are frowned upon to be worshipped in your world? And don't forget about relics and artifacts. Holy items tied to your deities can add a layer of mystique and provide great quest material or very powerful magic items. So how does this look all put together? In the example of my setting, the gods are known as aspects. They're split into two different groups: the greater aspects and the lesser aspects. In the eons preceding the advent of mortal life on the earthly plane, the greater aspects of Ashar existed as ethereal entities. Seeking a tangible connection to the physical realm, they extended their ethereal tendrils across the astral planes in search of a place to anchor their essence. Their expedition led them to the resplendent planet of Ashar, where they firmly tethered themselves, embarking on their grand design. As the aspects forged their individual identities, they sculpted races and beings that would populate Ashar, embodying the fundamental truths of existence. The greater aspects were the epitomization of the profound and universal truths, such as air, fire, time, earth, light, and death, shaping the very fabric of reality. There were Zephyra, the serene gale; Hakanar, the Ember Lord; Thalos, the Mountain King; Nephra, the Sea Sovereign; Silvari, the Verdant Mother; Morvath, the Everbound; Akasha, the Astral Weaver; Kalos, the Celestial Sentinel; Ishara, the Enigmatic Oracle; and Xanth, the Twilight Emissary. It was these 10 who became the architects of everything we know. Sometime later, though, mortal aspirations took shape, and dreams birthed into reality, giving rise to a pantheon of lesser aspects. These divine guardians became custodians of mortal ideals, holding domain over mortal created concepts, such as aspirations, relationships, love, commerce, courage, and luck. They guided and inspired those who pursued their respective domains. And in the harmonious dance between mortal ingenuity and divine essence, Ashar flourished. And from the eternal bond between mortals and these divine guides, in total, 20 lesser aspects came to be, a testament to the wondrous legacy of Ashar's creation. That's just a tiny example of how you can take these concepts, paired with your own ideas, and a bit of flavorful text, to have a solid start into creating a basis for a solid Pantheon. And remember, use your gods to fuel quests and storylines. Maybe a god has gone missing or had a change of heart for the worse. Maybe a divine artifact needs to be recovered or a prophecy must be fulfilled. And encourage your players to connect their characters to the Pantheon. Are they devout followers, reluctant believers, or maybe even chosen champions? They don't have to play any of the aforementioned classes for that to be the case. Well, that's it for today's dive into Pantheon creation. Remember, your gods are more than just distant figures. They're an integral part of your world's fabric, so make them count. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and smack that subscribe button, and join in and follow along for more as we continue to learn how to better run our games. My name's Steven, this has been Above the Table, and we will see you on the next one.